Welcome back to another video brought to you by your one and only literary pharaoh. I've been trying my best to, I have not been trying my best. Maybe in the past I've tried my best, but it's no longer me trying, it's just automatic. You guys are probably asking, what are you talking about? What I'm talking about, this connection that a lot of people have to what the government is doing, or the connection that people have with what the president is doing. I've said this a million times. I'm going to say it for the millionth and one time. Presidents have no power. I'm going to repeat it again. Presidents have no power. I'm going to say it for the third time. Presidents have no power. Do you know who has the power? You have the power. I'm very shocked, and I have other YouTubers that I listen to, and I hear them making videos, people that I have high respect for, high regard for. And I'm not gonna put out any names because I don't want to sound like I'm being like I'm attacking anyone. This is just my take on what I see happening. People who are very intelligent, who I don't see doing anything like this, they put out information that's very factual, but when it comes down to government and religion, those are the two. There are probably other facets of our civilization that holds people back from reaching their full potential. Government and religion. I talked about religion yesterday, about the impact it has on black people, how it really stops us from actually ascending to a higher plane, or ascending to a higher level from a mental and spiritual perspective. It's hard for us to overcome that hurdle of religion because we want to operate in fear and reverence for our oppressors and for extraterrestrial beings that have had a hand in constructing the way our social networks operate. Social engineering at its finest. That's psychological warfare for you. So I talked about that yesterday. Today I'm talking about the government. And there's a guy that I listen to, I'm not going to mention his name. He talks about factual things that happen and how history has been rewritten, and how the narrative of black people being slaves is told in reverse. No one disputes this guy's information because he has evidence. No one calls him a charlatan. No one calls him a grifter. No one calls him a liar. All you can do is attack this guy's character, but I'm not going to mention his name. But there's one thing that I find that he does that I do not like. Though he talks about the historical things that have happened in the past that have impacted the Neji, the foundational black Americans that were here first, I can't call myself a foundational American because I'm native Nigerian. My mother and father are Nigerians. I happened to come to America at a very young age, and I've been here for the majority of my life. But in terms of genetics and DNA, I'm Nigerian. So I say that to say this. I said that to say this. The guy goes on talking about how on his thumbnail, I didn't even watch the video, but I know what he's doing. He talks about politics and the government because he has to have content, and I get it. Bills have to be paid. Because if he stays talking about historical stuff, there's only so much things you can talk about historically. But what he does do that's clever, he ties the historical political legislations or things that happened politically in terms of laws being passed that impacted the way we govern ourselves from the past, and he links those things to the present, and he tries to allow, or he attempts to put in the minds of his audience something to consider of how modern things are being done the same way that past things were done. So he's keeping his audience's eyes open, allowing them to be very cognizant and be aware of how things subtly happen. Because a lot of people would say, if foundational black Americans in America had land and had banks and had grocery stores and had businesses, how did we get to the point where we lost everything? We lost our farms. We lost, I say we, but you know what I mean. They lost their farms. They lost their businesses. They lost their land. How did that happen? Well, this guy on YouTube, he has a way of explaining those things, how those things happen, through a foreign government being instituted in America, deliberately being used as a weapon to extract all the resources from the foundation of Black Americans, but act as if they are governing everyone to make it a fair, giving everybody a fair chance. But it was never that way. The government is foreign, and the government has always been for foreigners. And that's why oftentimes you hear people say, why are they giving millions of dollars to this country? Why can't they help their own people here? The government is not for the people, and it's not by the people. The government is for foreigners and by foreigners. We have a treasonous government. I've been saying this. A lot of people just look at me like I don't know what I'm talking about, because your belief system is so strong, and it has you completely underneath the delusion that the United States government is for the United States. Number one, the United States, we're not united. States are divided, number one. So that's a misnomer in and of itself to call United States united. We're not united. Every state has their own ways of doing things. So number one, we're not united. And number two, the government is not for us. It's been against us. It's been against Americans. It's for the foreigners. So this guy that I listen to, he's made that very clear. And I give him credit for opening my eyes to that truth. It just makes sense. Then, on one hand, he's giving information about those things, which is good to know. But I also feel that he does the melanated race or the foundation of Black Americans a disservice when he continues to tie us. When I say us, I'm not including myself, but I'm saying us, because my skin is brown, like the foundation of Black Americans. So when I say us, I'm lumping my genetics from a phenotype perspective to the cause. So what he's doing, he has a thumbnail saying, he has President Trump on his thumbnail, and he says Civil War. And I want you guys to understand something. Presidents don't have power. They can't. Whatever President Trump does to cause a civil war, it's not the president that's causing the civil war. Wars are funded by bankers in the Federal Reserve and by central banks. Politics is theater. You remember when we were younger, or even now, some of you guys have parents that still watch soap operas. General Hospital, Days of Our Lives. That's what politics is. It puts you in a psychological twilight zone where 4 years from now, or even 8 years from now, or even 12 years from now, nothing changes. The only thing that changes is the presidential candidate, and these candidates continuing to make false promises to entice simple-minded people like you to continue to believe that somehow, some way, that if the right politician gets into office, things will be okay. So you're trying to tell me after all these decades and all these years, we've never had the right one? No, these politicians, there's no one right. They're all actors. You say, what do you mean, literary fairy, that they're actors? Do you mean literally like they are actors, like in Hollywood actors? Or do you mean like they're just fake? I mean both. We understand that Trump was a personality and some business guy. Now he's a president. These people are actors. Most of them don't even have true law degrees. Believe it or not, many of you if the truth was unveiled, many of you will lose your minds and go crazy, go nuts. Some of you that are of older age, you might faint and die because it's so overwhelming to know that your whole reality you've been lied to. These are actors, and these actors put on a show. People really think that, you know, who's that guy that Elon Musk. People really think that Elon Musk is some billionaire that has that much money. He's an actor. Is he rich? Of course he is. But he doesn't have the power you think he has. You know who has the power? You don't see them. He's the front. He's the face. The Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, those banking families that are tied, that have extraterrestrial ties to the Anunnakis. Those are the ones that rule the planet, that rule the world. You will never see them because they're the ones that fund wars. They win either way. Number one, now you say the wars are real. Of course the wars are real. It has to be real because people have to die. So number one, the war serves multiple purposes. It's a depopulation tactic because people are dying. Then the Federal Reserves, they use that money to own countries, to own land, to own people, to own governments. You have to borrow money to go to war. War isn't cheap. You can't just say, I'm just going to war, just say I'm going to war. It's called, funding is involved. The equipment used to fight the wars, the missiles that you have to purchase. So essentially, human beings, the most dumbest species that ever existed on the universe, were hell-bent on spending billions of dollars to acquire weapons to kill each other. There's nothing worth fighting for. And we've been put underneath this false premise that resources are scarce and that these people want to take over this land, but that's not the case. That's not true. You have actors, you have political figures that are actors that echo certain sentiments and echo certain verbiage to keep that type of narrative flowing, to have people who continue to watch mainstream media to believe that there's some sort of chaotic event requiring war to bring peace. When has war ever brought peace? That's a conundrum. War never brings peace. You know what war brings? It brings death, and no one wins. Even the side that thinks they won, they really don't win, because decades from that point, there's going to be another war. Can't y'all see the cyclical events? Look at history. It's always been wars. Now, some of you guys just think that that's normal. That's just the way it is. You've been brainwashed. Wars are not normal. Wars are what I would call proxy wars, meaning that wars that are not fought for the reason that you think they're being fought for. There are plenty of ulterior motives why these wars are fought, and it's never the reason why you think it is. They may tell you, oh, they're fighting for this. That's not the reason. The reason is for the banks to own countries. Another reason for war is for the government to have more of control, more of a stranglehold, to put more of a tighter grip on the necks of its citizens. You say, how is that? Well, usually when you go to war, there are laws that are passed after that. 9/11, you remember 9/11? We went to war with Iraq, and even though Iraq had nothing to do with it, you know, that whole false, fake. Anyway, our own government attacked its own citizens. But you guys, it's hard to believe that, right? Like, why would it? It's not about why. Stop asking why and just listen and believe the truth. Believe it when you see it. When people say things that are outlandish, consider it. You can't consider everybody to be conspiracy theorists and just call everybody, oh, you're a nut job, you're a tinfoil hat wearing person. No. When information is controlled and is coming from a main hub, you better believe that that main hub has the power to manipulate information, to slant the direction of society, to have society moving in a certain way that benefits the narrative that's being painted, and then puts people in a disposition to act a certain way, to behave a certain way. And it also controls dialogue and controls the talking points. Most people are talking about the things they hear on mainstream media. I'm disconnected. I may get certain things on my feed because I can't help it. I have a smartphone, so certain news flashes do come. I don't ignore it, everything that I hear, but I don't believe 99.9% of the things that I hear. Meaning that the reason that they give for certain things, like they may say that we're going to war because of XYZ. I don't believe that it's because of XYZ. I believe that there's ulterior motives that you can't tell us. Because if you tell the American people, then we're gonna be like, hold on, what's going on? We start to dig. What the mainstream media cannot do is allow free thinkers like us to get a grip on what's going on, to have some sort of insight as to what's going on. Because once we latch on to that, we're naturally inquisitive and naturally curious. That's for people who have functioning brains. Some people are just dope heads and drugged the fuck up. So I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people who actually use critical thinking skills and actually apply cognition to everything that they do in life. Those people are going to start digging and asking more questions. But they can't do that. They have to just put us on the wrong path to have us continue walking that wrong path and never come into the realization of what's actually going on with us. So I say that to say this: I hear about the things that are happening with the government, but I'm not emotionally attached to it. The reason why I'm not emotionally attached to it, the reason why I know I'm not emotionally attached to it, is because I hear my coworkers complaining about what Trump is doing. Oh, Trump is going to do this. Oh, he's crazy. Or this and that. I'm like, okay. Then you have other foundational black Americans say, no, Trump is good for us. The other black people are not smart enough. They think that the Democrats are for them. Look, Democrats or Republicans, neither party is for you. The only person that's for you is you. When will you guys get that through your fucking heads? Like, stop relying on external constructs. I've been saying this. I'm going to say this until I have no more breath left in me. You cannot rely on something outside of you to be the resolution for any dilemma or turmoil that you have within you. You can't do that. It doesn't make any sense. So people will sit here and be, oh, Trump is doing this. Trump is doing. They actually get impacted by what the mainstream media is telling you that these presidents are going to do. Presidents have no power. We don't even have a democracy. We don't have anything. We still have we don't, whatever is opposite of democracy is what we have. We've been given the illusion that we have a democracy. Because if you give people the illusion of having something, then they're okay to sit and accept lies and accept anything that's being given to them, because they're operating underneath a false premise of we have a democracy, and if we vote certain things in, then things will be okay. Number one, our voting has never counted. The voting was never used to vote for public figures to be in office. The voting was a consensus thing. If you do the history on it, it was a tactic used for consensus purposes to see how many types of people live in this area and how many people live in this area. It was a way to, it was a geographical thing. It was a data collecting thing. See, what society does, they sell you something, but beneath what they're selling you, that's the true motive. Whatever they broadcast, whatever is announced as the reason why something's being done, you better believe me that it's for another reason. Presidents don't run anything. They have writers, they have handlers, and those handlers have handlers. And the ultimate handler of everybody is the banks. The ultimate handler of everybody are the banks. They handle everything. They handle everybody. They control politicians. So if you want to know who's ruling the world, number one, you have to understand that whoever has the money, whoever has the power to print money, to just create fiat out of thin air, those are the ones you need to be concerned about. But I've said this before. When I look at history from let me not say history. When I look at the past, because history doesn't record everything. History is his story, and is a story that's given to you to help to formulate a false worldview about how your current oppressors are oppressing you. Because if you have a false worldview, you'll never see who your oppressor is, because you have a false worldview. Your worldview isn't rooted in truth. So you won't believe that you're being oppressed, even though you're being oppressed. You can't see it because you have a worldview of democracy, freedom. We're not as free as you think. We are not as free as you think. We don't even know what true liberty truly is. We've been given the illusion that we're free, but we are not free. And I don't mean for you to compare yourself to somebody who's incarcerated, to say, well, he's in jail and I'm not. That means I'm free. If you use that example, it lets me know how low of an IQ of a person that you are. You are retarded. Your brain, you're still in elementary, middle school mode, high school mode. You're not a full adult yet. There are levels of captivity. Just because you're not behind bars or in prison or in jail doesn't mean you're free. There are different types of captivity. You have psychological enslavement. You have physical enslavement. You have financial enslavement. All of us are slaves. How can you be free when you're forced to go to work? How is that fucking freedom? Freedom is having a choice to go to work and not go to work. Now you may say, well, you do have the freedom not to go to work, but yeah, do you really have the freedom not to go to work? Because making that decision has really, really dire consequences that will impact your whole life. So don't give me that shit about we have freedom. We don't have freedom. We've trained our minds to give ourselves the illusion that we have freedom, but in actuality, we do not have freedom. Presidents don't have power. They're just the faces and the actors to push the agenda of the controllers. As I've always said, the controllers, if you look at history, not history that's written, but true history. If you look at the Sumerian tablets and you look at the way things were done back then in the age of Atlantis, all right, this is pre-history. I say pre-history because there are no historical books that talks about Atlantis. This was a civilization on Earth that existed before the way we see Earth now. All right, governed by extraterrestrials on Earth. Extraterrestrial influence heavily. We have remnants of extraterrestrial influence. Look at the pyramids. Look at the megalithic structures that are all over the world. Those things weren't built by humans alone. Maybe humans had some kind of impact on it, but in terms of the major construct and the architecture and the placement of those megalithic structures, humans had no involvement in that shit. We're not smart enough to do that. That's extraterrestrial involvement. It's extraterrestrial because the advancement is extra. The intellect is extra. The technology is extra. Everything is advanced. That's why it's mind-boggling today in 2025 that right now, as I speak, you can get the best architects in the world, the best builders on the planet. They cannot build a pyramid. So what does that tell you? Does that mean that the humans were smarter back then? No. Was it Nephilim giants carrying stones? No. People want to believe that Nephilim shit because they want to believe their Bible so much. Because the Bible tells you that Egypt used Hebrew slaves to build the pyramids. That's not true. That's not fucking true. Humans can't build that shit. It's impossible. And there are more pyramids in the Americas than there are in Africa. You know that? There are a lot of pyramids in the Americas. But they've been covered. The truth has to be concealed. We've always had extraterrestrial influence and involvement in our existence, in our past existence, and in our current existence. So, if these extraterrestrial beings had involvements with what happens with human beings in terms of how human beings govern themselves, why do you think now currently that all of a sudden these extraterrestrials have no involvement? They have huge involvement. Have you considered that it's possibility that Trump that we see on TV is not Trump, that's a body double? Is that far-fetched to think that? Is it far-fetched to think that the real Trump is dead? Is it far-fetched to believe that he died of cancer years ago? Is it far-fetched to believe that Hillary Clinton was killed years ago, that she's dead? That the Hillary Clinton that you see on TV, that's just a double? You don't think these things are possible? Don't ask why. You know why. It's deception. This is what I tell people, and I tell young men and young women that I talk to. When you tell a story, when you tell a lie to somebody, all right? Someone asks you a question and you give them a lie, you tell them a lie. What happens is that you have to cover that lie with another lie because your starting point is false. America's starting point is false. The narrative that they've given us from day one has been false. So what has happened decade upon decade is that every time they give us a story or they feed us information, the information is false. Once you start with lies, you have to use another lie to cover up the first lie. And then the second lie comes in, then now you have to tell a third lie to cover the second lie. It never stops. It's like a snowball effect. The longer the lies exist, the more you have to lie to cover the lies that exist. There's no such thing as all of a sudden injecting truth amidst all the lies you've been told. Because once truth is spoken, that's why people can't receive truth. That's why it's hard for people to listen to what I have to tell them when I tell them about religion, when I talk about extraterrestrials. They look at me like, extraterrestrials. It's hard for the mind to wrap itself around truth because you've been lied to so much. We are electrical beings. Just like there's a reason why when we see something that doesn't seem right, we get a certain feeling in our gut. You know how people say, I had a gut feeling that was wrong. You feel it. You feel the vibration all over your body. You feel it. When something that doesn't seem right, you really can't put a measuring stick on it because it's something that's spiritual. You can't really say this is it. But there's something that's going on within your DNA construct, within the fibers of your being, within your soul that tells you that something is not right. We are wired to be truth detectors by nature. That's what makes us divine. That's what separates us from animals. We operate off of wisdom and truth. But the human experience is being robbed because we're operating off of lies and deception. When people have given their souls and allowed mainstream media to siphon their energy, they wake up angry and upset, not because of what's going on in their household. They're upset at what's going on with the government. They're upset that Trump got elected, or they were upset that Biden got elected. I don't give a rat's ass who's in office. Whoever's in office doesn't impact me because I know who the real controllers are. The real controllers are not them. But we've dumbed down our perceptions, we've dumbed down our minds and dumbed down our thinking to the point that we only see what they give us. They give us government, we talk government. They give us Trump, we talk Trump. They give us Biden, we talk Biden. It's much deeper than what's on the surface, folks. But it's hard for people to dig. Number one, they don't even have the tools to dig because they lack information. Information is the tool to help you to dig beyond the surface. Listen to people on YouTube and listen to people who are researching other things that are outside the mainstream or what people would consider being fringe, things that are just weird. Don't push those people off as being weird. When something is spoken and whatever is spoken seems crazy, the only thing that's crazy is you not considering what you think is crazy. That's crazy. Because everything should be considered. Everything should be considered. People's belief in religion blindly, they don't even consider anything. They just believe. Even when it doesn't make sense, I believe, I have faith. That's the dumbest thing you can do. I'm not telling you to believe and have faith in any of the things that I'm talking about. What I am telling you, what I implore you to do is consider some of the things that I'm saying. It's you. You are the master of your experience. You are the architect of your own reality amidst the chaos around you. You can't do anything about that. But don't think that some white man in office is going to make your life better by passing some laws. There goes that worship gene again, especially in our melanated brothers and sisters, especially our foundational Black Americans. We have this desire to look up to white people as if they're the ones that are going to insert some sort of resolution to our issues and problems that we have. Little do we know that we're the sole possessors of the tool to remedy any ill that we have in our lives. If you can't eat right, don't talk to me. If you can't even make the decision to make choices, to make good choices on what you put into your mouth, because what you put into your mouth is going to be a great, agent and influence in the outcome of your health. If you can't even make good food choices, don't talk to me. That means that you're eating what the government has given you. You're eating the foods of your oppressor as a carbon-based being. You're eating foods from your oppressor, yet seeking solutions from your oppressor. How stupid is that? What a fucking paradox. You're eating foods from the enemy, ultra-processed foods, but yet you're seeking that same government that promotes that processed food through the FDA. You're seeking that to be the solution to your issues? You fucking idiot. Think about that. It's all connected. It's a web, and the web isn't that intricate either. It's pretty simple to follow the sequence of events and take a retroactive perspective or a retroactive path going backwards to see where everything connects to. Yes, it all goes back to the money thing, but beyond the money or above that, it's more about control of the human race. Keep the human race divided. Use politics to do that. As I said before, I've read a lot of books. I've listened to a lot of podcasts, and I've listened to my own soul. I don't believe everything that I hear, but what I'm very good at is taking pieces of everything and trying to make sense of it. What doesn't make sense is what we're being told and what's being provided by mainstream. That doesn't make sense. What makes sense is you thinking outside the box that they've put you in and to consider other options outside the box. And I can tell you that if you do that, you'll come closer to truth than you would if you simply ignored what's outside the box and only operate off of the tools given to you within the box. Not understanding that the things that are given to you within the box were purposely put there to confuse you and to keep you indoctrinated and brainwashed in the box, to give you a false perception that you have truth, that you know what's going on. So you have a lot of foundational Black people, they get really, really intelligent about the politics, and they feel like they've arrived. Oh yeah, the Democrats did this, the Republicans did this. Do you know this? That's why I don't have Twitter. I don't have Facebook. I don't have Instagram. I have YouTube because I do videos on here. I have a Rumble account only because I upload videos on there. But I'm not on there searching politics. You know what I am searching? I'm trying to understand quantum physics. I'm trying to understand sacred geometry. I'm trying to understand what things happened in the past that we're not being told. I'm trying to look up those things. There's a reason why those things are being hidden from us. There's a reason why the Smithsonian, the museum, keeps a lot of relics, a lot of old antiques, relics from the past, extraterrestrial technology. They keep it. While the Vatican hides a lot of truth. Why? Why were pyramids being raided in the past and being people literally going in there to steal things? You know why? Because extraterrestrial materials were there. Hold on, I gotta take this call. So yeah, that's how it works. You can't sit and get information and think that, oh, that's it. No, you have to go seek it. There's a level of we are responsible. There's a level of accountability on our part. We have to do something. We can't just sit on our asses and think that if we press power on our TV and whatever mainstream media tells us, that's it. Whether it's the weather, because they lie to you about that. Everything is lies. I've told you before. Once you start with one lie, you have to continue to keep lying. We've been lied to, folks. And people are wondering why a lot of these NBA players are getting blood clots. Wembanyama, the 7'4" center for San Antonio Spurs, blood clot, out for the season. Damian Lillard, blood clot. When were those safe and effective, you know what? When were those administered? Wasn't it around 2021? Remember when experts were saying that in 3 to 5 years is when you're going to start seeing the impact of those things that they said were safe and effective? You're starting to see that. When have we had, and there's going to be many more players that are going to have blood clots. This is just the beginning. But a lot of people push those, I don't even want to call them experts. Let's just say people who actually cared for the truth. And yeah, they were experts, because not all experts operate and govern off of benevolence. Some of them, they use the name experts to give you evil things. They'll say, I'm an expert. Drink this arsenic juice. I'm an expert. Smoke this cigarette. It's healthy. I'm an expert. Just because somebody gives themselves a title of a fucking expert doesn't mean that what comes out of their mouth is gospel. We have to move beyond that. We are in an information age, and no one, there's no way in hell that you can be your own expert. And it's basic. We just know that it's nature versus man. Man, who's influenced by extraterrestrials, humanoid man, not real man like us, not human, not light beings, because that's how they call us, human, light man, man of light. Because we operate in truth. We're supposed to operate in truth. And when your Bible tells you that the truth is being suppressed in unrighteousness, we are the truth that's being suppressed in unrighteousness. People who are endeavoring to be awake, but we continue to be suppressed with lies. And they keep us compressed with all the lies, besieged by all the evil that's around us, and keeps us in a very, very low vibrational state of being in fear and feeling an overwhelming sense of guilt. We have all those things. So you can be on earth while you're waiting for heaven and hell and not know that you're actually in hell already. While you're thinking of, I'm going to die and then go to heaven and be with God. You know, you're an idiot. You don't even know you don't know what's coming. You know now. It's very disrespectful for you to be alive right now and you're talking about dying and going somewhere else. You're an idiot. Right now, you are operating in hell. You have a hellish mind state. Yeah, you don't have to be burning, but your mindset is set on hell. You can't transcend. Bitterness, anger, guilt, shame. Those are killers. Emotional toxins that lead you to having foods that have toxins in them. Because many people are emotional eaters. If you can't regulate your own emotions, you're going to seek chemicals to do so. And the Food and Drug Administration has those chemicals right and ready for you to take, which is why we're addicts. We don't eat because we're hungry. We're eating because it's a chemical urge within us that's saying, go get this. It's a chemical sensation that we're seeking. We're not seeking sustenance. That's why people overeat. It's the chemical you're seeking. But when your parasympathetic nerve responses and your sympathetic nerve responses are all jacked the fuck up, and ghrelin and your leptin hormones are all jacked up, then you're not even functioning in homeostasis. You're all over the fucking place. You're imbalanced. And the only thing that you can do is seek those chemicals to try to restore balance. But every time you do that, you're only making yourself worse. It's like a person who says, oh, I'm depressed, but when I drink, I feel better. But little do you know, you fucking idiot, you may feel better at the time that you're drinking, but when you're done drinking, your depression is actually worse. Alcohol doesn't elevate you. It may make you feel good for the moment. Your depression doesn't go away. You're seeking a chemical for a quick fix. But the quick fix is not a fix. It's just a temporary mask or a temporary band-aid over a very, very deep wound. The blood is still going to leak. And you're still going to feel effects of the pain. The pain doesn't go away. So we are just emotional sycophants. I say emotional sycophants because we're led by emotions. And our controllers know that. They know more about our biochemistry. They know much more about our biology. And they know much more about the way we are wired and constructed, which is why they can implement certain things to control us. They don't have to control us by putting a gun on our heads. They just control us with information. They control us by manipulating our emotions. And they control us to the point where if you hear somebody speaking something true, they're automatically crazy because it doesn't fit into your worldview. But I'm here to tell you guys, there's no worldview because the worldview that you've been given has been a lie. So start from scratch. Tell yourself, wake up one day and say, I don't know anything. And consider everything. Be open to everything. Be open-minded to everything. I don't care if somebody says something that you've never heard before. Consider it. Look it up. Research it. And I know the internet is not a reliable source. It's not. You can't always rely on everything the internet says. But it doesn't hurt to look and dig. Amidst all the things that you can get on the internet, there's some truth in there. It's hard to find it, but there's some truth. You can start to cross-reference your information and weed out certain things that don't make sense. Or this said this doesn't say, okay, this doesn't make sense. I'm going to pull this out. It takes time. It's a craft. But you can't work all day. 75% of your time is at work. Then the 25% of the time that you're free, we're not even counting the traffic, the time spent on the road driving home. We're not even counting the fact that you may have to go get groceries, run errands. So you don't have that much time to yourself. People don't have time to fucking meditate. People barely have time to brush their teeth in the morning to get ready for work. So now you're asking a person to actually research stuff? No, it's much easier for you to sit on your ass, turn on the television, and let the television indoctrinate and brainwash you. But they've set it up that way. That's why Johnny Rockefeller, I forgot which Rockefeller said this, but that's why he said the famous quote, we don't want a nation of thinkers, we want a nation of workers. Because if you're busy working, you can't think. But if we're allowed to think, we can understand that we all have one common enemy. And when we understand that we have one common enemy, we can all come together as a collective. Regardless of race, color, or creed, we can all come together and remove the enemy. Isn't that what happened in the Bible, the Tower of Babel? The ziggurat, what they were building? Didn't your God say, remember he said that? He was like, oh, these humans, they can do whatever they want. If they all come together, they can accomplish anything that they want to accomplish. I don't know why human accomplishments is deemed to be evil. But many Bible believers think that because they believe that you're a born sinner, that you're born wretch, that you're born destined for hell until you ask for a savior. So if they have that mindset, if their mind is set on that narrative, if their mind is set on that worldview, that makes them believe that anything that humans do is evil and anything that God does is good. So if God kills people for doing something that's elevating the human experience, then it's good because their God is righteous and human beings are unrighteous. But I'm here to tell you the opposite. Human beings are righteous. The God you believe in is the one that's unrighteous. The God you believe in is the one that's steeped in malevolence. That's the same God that was telling people to kill. Over 3 million deaths in the Bible Your God ordered those deaths. Killings, murders in the Bible, ordered by your God. And the 10 that weren't by him were commanded by him. Told the devil to go do this or go do that. But it's still him that's ordering all these killings. But yet that's the God you guys serve. So I'm here to tell you guys, we've been lied to. We've been told everything in reverse. The God that you serve is the devil that you abhor. Spirituality is spiritual captivity and spiritual oppression. School is not education, it's miseducation and indoctrination. Going to college is not you getting an education. Going to college is setting you up for debt. History books are not history books. They're propaganda books. School isn't school. It's getting you ready for prison. It's essentially what it's doing. School to prison pipeline. Line up. Get in a straight line. Put your hand behind your backs. Training you to feed the military industrial complex. Training you to take orders. Training you to function on a schedule. And you do this for the majority of your life, you become a trained robot. And you end up thinking that you have freedom, where in actuality you don't. You've been trained underneath the ecosystem that harbors the mind, incubates the mind slowly, subtly, incrementally, to believe that this is the way life is. While the whole time they're injecting all sorts of slave themes inside your soul. So when you've gotten this for so long, you've normalized slaveryhood. So when you operate underneath the ecosystem of slaveryhood, you don't perceive yourself to be a slave because they've given you what they call democracy. Now you think you're operating underneath the governance of a democracy, when in actuality there's no democracy. We're all slaves. Because if you have to go to work this morning, you're a slave. Free people do whatever the fuck they want. I can't do what I want. I gotta wake up and go to work. You know why? Because if I don't work, my kids won't eat. My wife won't eat. We won't have a home. So I have to work. All right? Thank you guys for listening. Consider the things that I'm saying. Leave a comment. Tell me what you guys think. And remember, your health is your wealth. Above all things, control your health, because that's all you have. Fuck what Trump is doing. Fuck the government. Fuck everything else outside. The news media, don't even listen to news like that. It sucks your energy. It sucks you dry. It puts you in a low vibrational state. Your frequency becomes low because it induces stress by design. Unplug and start to think for yourself and connect your own fucking dots. Peace. Your health is your wealth.